Okay, we're on.
Okay, everyone. Can I get your attention, please? Thank you very much. So, I'm going to give you a bit of a demonstration into an experience of what it's like to be hard of hearing in the world of education. So, some of you already know me, but for those that don't, my name's Stephen and I work in engineering. I have 2 hearing aids. I was born 3 months premature, so my hearing has never been to a good level. When I was about 10 years ago, the doctor said to me, you need to get hearing aids. We noticed, that volume things were going up, so I decided to get these. I also have an additional device that basically is a portable microphone. That allows me to pick up voices in, say, group activities and things like that. So, as a teacher, the first thing I have to do is make sure that my class are aware of my hearing difficulties, because in the classroom it needs to be a team activity. They need to work with me to make this work. So, first thing I'll ask them to do is always face me when they're talking to me so I can lip read if I can't hear what they're saying. I'll ask them to speak clearly. I'll ask them to not shout, but also not to be too quiet, because we can go both ways with our students. And then if they're not confident and they don't feel like they want to shout or put their hand up, I'll ask them to write it down and then they can just pass me a note to make it a bit easier. Okay? So, according to the NHS, common signs of people with hearing loss are difficulty hearing other people and misunderstanding what people say. So, the amount of people that know me, how many times I ask you to repeat yourself, that's one of the reasons why. Asking other people to repeat themselves. Listen to music and the TV at a higher volume than normal. So my TV, if I've not got my hearing aids on, is at about 32, when my TV goes up to 50. So you can imagine that's quite hard. Find it hard to keep up with the conversation because there's so much going on. You've got to really concentrate on what's going on around you. And then the final point is feeling tired or stressed after having to concentrate, because you are constantly having to work around and try and figure out and fill the gaps of what conversations are that you miss. Quite often people will not notice that their hearing deteriorated themselves. It'll be their partner or somebody else that will point that out to them. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I've got a recording in here that is going to give you a bit of an insight of what it's like through somebody with a hearing aid. I'm going to do some actions as I do that is part of what we do as teachers without realising that may affect the classroom environment for our learners, particularly those with hearing aids, especially if they've got one of these assistive devices. So, just listen carefully.
Particularly from a student standpoint, and particularly from a lecturing standpoint. During classes, people will listen and roll my heads. And then people will practice walking.
That's used to that.
Make noises like this. People will also place these devices on tables. And as people do that, another part of it as well is asking students questions. So, David, where do you get that wig from?
Thank you. So, what you just heard was obviously what it's like for our learners with hearing difficulties, particularly when you're wearing this. Now, the first part of it was the noise that is when somebody's wearing this. Quite often the teachers will use our hand, and then if we get to a certain point in our discussion, we might naturally just cross our hand. And what we've done now is just cover the microphone. So the person with the hearing difficulties can't hear what's being said. That's the first problem.
I've done that to you, haven't I?
You have.
I have.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So during PCT, you've done that. Quite a few people have done it, and that's what made me thought about doing this, because people don't realise that they're doing this. The other thing is, people often attach it to their ties, and then as they're walking around, the badge is clicking, so you'll hear a lot of clicking noises, and it makes it, again, difficult to hear the sound between that. Asking a question, as you heard, so we asked David a question, and then as you heard, he didn't say anything, he didn't hear anything. So imagine that's on the other side of the room, and you're asking somebody, a student, the opposite side of the room. So the good thing in practice probably would be to repeat the answer that the student's giving you, so that the person with the hearing aid can take it up through this device. Facing the audience while you're talking, so as again, I already said, I lip read quite a lot, and so if I'm in the class, I want to make sure I can see the teacher at all times. So I'm obviously, people do the same thing, they try and fill in those blanks where they need to. Classroom volume levels, so we all know, excuse me, that obviously the volume level in our class goes up and down. The amount of times that I'm in a class, and I explained this to you, didn't I, yesterday, David, that if I'm having a conversation with somebody right here, and there's a group in the corner over there talking really loud and the volume's going up and up and up, I sometimes can't even hear the student right in front of me. So I'd have to make sure that that volume level is maintained to a level so that I can hear, but also that would get to reflect on the student as well. Interpreters, so if you've got an interpreter in your class, you've got to make sure that you don't talk to the interpreter. Ensure that you're still talking to the student. The student's looking at the interpreter, they're doing that bit. Make sure you're getting the information that way. Make sure you're passing the information to the correct person. The student's there to learn, not the interpreter. Cognitive implants. So we've said that quite often people with cognitive implants can use their mobile phones a bit like one of these devices. So they may place the mobile phone over here. So just think about, where that's positioned and where you position yourself in your classroom, because that can affect what they pick up again. You've already experienced that through the part a second ago. And then finally, a lot of people with hearing difficulties will often apologise for asking people to repeat themselves. Now, me and Dave were talking about this yesterday, weren't they? And we don't feel that that's something that they should do. It's a natural thing for them to do. So a nice thing to say is, don't apologise, it's okay, and then repeat what was said. Because it's quite frustrating, when you have to ask people to repeat over and over and over again. It can be quite irritating for you, the teacher, but also imagine what it's like for the person with hearing difficulties. So, I don't know much sign language yet. I say yet, because I plan on learning it at some point, but I do know that this is thank you. Has anybody got any questions?
Steve, you were mentioning about, you told me when you during COVID it was horrendous. Can you just explain a bit about how that made it difficult?
So yeah, during COVID it was really difficult, again, because I lip read quite a lot to help fill in my blanks. The phrase is covered, and I'm doing it on purpose. You can't see what I'm saying, so imagine if you're trying to fill in those blanks with a lip read, it's impossible. So I often would find saying people, can you just move your mask, and I would step away from them, putting myself in danger, but it's the only way I could communicate with them. Thank you for that. Anybody else?
I think the point about, because I was telling you of a mistake I once made when a student came in that had a signer with them, and I did, myself and my colleague just naturally started, you mentioned it earlier, we just started talking to the signer, and I felt really stupid when she said, don't talk to me. So, it was just a natural thing to do, and obviously it's weird because they're obviously looking at the signer all the time, or a lot, shall I say. So it was a really good bit of advice that she gave. Another one that you haven't mentioned, which is something you do, is you often have notes on your iPad, which then allows you
to stay facing forward.
To stay facing the audience.
So I might hold an iPad and it looks like I'm not really concentrating because I might keep looking down the iPad at my notes, but actually it's so that I don't turn and face away. Because obviously as soon as I turn and face away, you can't see my lips, but also if the sound's bouncing in the wrong way, it's not going to work. People can't hear. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lots of pain au chocolat left if you want to dive in.
Because in the that's like a double one bum. I know, and I ended up doing that at that one, because it was it's only 2 weeks
I do that. Email myself to remind myself to do it. Running. And then
yeah, because when I did it, I kind of I was like, and then the rest of the students, they was a bit like, because they were seeing me just like repeats and People always go to prison, and I was like, yes, yeah. Oh, yeah.
12 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, Louis. Oh, yeah, told me about that.
I would have thought about the. I've already told them about the.
Yeah.
Because instantly, like, I would like, just, if I were thinking properly, I'd strain the words.
Yeah,
And that's just like what I would do. Because here it's like,
The only that noise. And then if say you get
I was thinking.